Say, what's cracking, YouTube? It's your boy 16 to life, and I'm back like I'm on a parole violation. Yard down! Now, in the event you happen to like this story, be sure to hit that like button. Also, leave a comment, and if you haven't subscribed to my channel, then be sure to subscribe to the channel. Then also hit the notification bell. That way, anytime I drop a story, you will be notified ASAP Rocky, and you can hop on it whenever you're ready. Now, for those of y'all who do not know, I got arrested in '94. I was sentenced to 16 years plus life. I done 24 years straight in the California prison system. And during that time, I accumulated some good stories for y'all. Also, like I say, man, I'll be rapping. Be sure to check my raps out. Never Gave Me Therapy is a song that I got, a video. It's on all major platforms, iTunes, Spotify, Apple Music. You can also type in 16 to life music. Check out some of my songs. Never Gave Me Therapy is on there as well. Go From Here, Relapse, By My Side, Nightmares, Ride With Me. You know, I got a bunch of songs on there, man. You definitely gonna realize that I gas, man. So check me out, man. Don't get it twisted. Now, with that being said, let's hop into this right here. From time to time, periodically in my comments, I'll get people asking, have the blacks, whites, and Hispanics ever came together in a united front? Because the California prison system is it's a lot of racial politics. You know, so if you're black, you only be housed with a black. If you're white, you only be housed with a white person, so on and so forth. Now, when I say that it's segregated, I'm not saying that there is a ongoing war, you know, with the blacks and Hispanics, and we don't talk to each other. We're not cordial, you know what I'm saying? Because that's not the case. It's just that sometimes when a situation becomes physical, then 9 times out of 10, it's gonna lead to a race riot. You know what I'm saying? And so, and the bad thing about that is if you're black, all the blacks run together now. And the bad thing about that, like I say, is the blacks, there is very little structure among the blacks as opposed to the Southern Hispanics and the Northern Hispanics. You know, they're more organized, greatly more organized, and so it's more, you know, it's more rules and it's structure, and it kind of keeps things balanced. You know, with the blacks, by it being, you know, several different factions amongst the blacks. So you got the Crips, you got the Bloods, you got different factions inside those two organizations who don't get along. You got the up north brothers from up north, like San Francisco, Oakland. So you mid California, you know, Northern Cali, Stockton, that area up in there, San Jose. It's just so many different factions with the blacks that it's really no structure. So you may go to one penitentiary and it's a strict set of rules that the blacks can't do. You may go to the next penitentiary. There's no rules. It just all depends on who happens to be at that particular penitentiary and who is, you know, basically who's stepping to the forefront and taking the initiative to try to have things in order. And so that's the bad part about that. Now, you know, like I say, so I get questions that have the blacks and especially the Hispanics ever came together. Well, I happen to be in Salinas Valley. I would say it was late 1996, maybe early 1997. And we happened to be on the level 4 yard, the 180 D yard, upper yard. And I did happen to see the blacks and Hispanics come together one time, or at least try to come together. So here was the situation right here. In the past, when we would be released to yard, because I believe we'd only get maybe 3 hours a yard. They let us out for yard like maybe at 9 o'clock in the morning or somewhere. We'd have to recall a little before 12. Then we could come out again maybe around 1, and we'd have to recall a little before 1. Now, you could always go to yard if you weren't at school or if you weren't at work. But on the weekends, for those like myself who did not have a job, then you weren't allowed to go to the yard. You know, if you had a job, you had a special type of privilege status, which is called A1A. At that particular time, I didn't have a job. It took me almost 2 years to get a job up there. You know, when you don't have a job, you can also only get 1 phone call a month. So it's pretty messed up if you don't have a job or you're not in school. So so what was happening was when we would get released to the yard, we might be on the yard for 15, 20 minutes. Then they'd announce over the loudspeaker that they was recalling the yard. Everybody had to go back to their cells. You know, their reason behind this was that they claimed an incident had occurred on another yard, and they needed the staff from our particular yard to go over there and help with that situation. Now, this went on several times over a period of 2 weeks. Of course, when you got individuals doing life, doing a lot of time, and they're caged in their cell, they're not getting no outside activity after a period of time. They're going to get upset. They're going to get mad. They're going to want to hit the yard, exercise, jog, holler at their partners, conduct business, or whatever. So this kept happening over and over. So at some point in time, they were starting to get fed up about it. Now, I never forget this particular day because it was a Saturday, and I had to sneak to the yard because I didn't have a job. I was in the cell with Big H, also known as Big Heron from Compton. Rest in peace to that brother right there. He was a real solid, good brother. And so how I ended up getting out to the yard was being released. I think I don't know, maybe I believe this was afternoon yard. And he happened to have a phone call maybe about 10 or 15 minutes before the yard was being released. So when they cracked the door to see if he was going to use his phone call, he told them that I was going to use it. So I went down to use the phone. Now, the good thing about that is there are no actual COs on the floor in the day room. All the COs are upstairs in the gun tower. And so I went to the phone like I was going to use the phone. Once I seen the CO wasn't looking, I went and hid up under the podium that's in the day room. Then about 10 minutes later, once they started popping the doors, releasing people who could go to yard, I just joined in the crowd and was able to finesse my way outside. Now, once we get outside, the yard is going on. And like I say, at this point in time, I realized if I had had any common sense, I would have stayed my ass in the cell because Salinas Valley was wild, man. It was a lot of stabbings, a lot of stuff going on up there. And, but like I say, I was young. I wanted to be outside. So I snuck outside. So while we outside on the yard, maybe 15, 20 minutes, they did it once again. Recalled the yard, told everybody to go back in. Now, at this point in time, dudes became angry. Like, man, we tired of this. Now, I don't know who it was because at that point in time, I was new to prison, but I guess somebody went and talked to the Hispanics or whatever, and they decided that they wasn't going back in. Everybody, the blacks and the Hispanics. I can't say if I remember the whites participating, but I definitely remember the blacks and Hispanics. Like I say, maybe 1996, somewhere around there. So they decided they wasn't going back in. So they making announcements over the yards, over the loudspeaker to recall the yard, told everybody to go back in. But ain't nobody going back in. We ain't going nowhere. So everybody just standing out, milling around, doing what they doing. So at some point in time, the administration realized that we wasn't going back in. They made a couple more, announcements. Everybody go back in. You're going to get in trouble. You're going to get some write-ups, blah, blah, blah. Wasn't nobody going nowhere. So they ended up just left us out there. They left us out there and went to do whatever they had to do. They actually left us out there for a couple of hours, and so everybody just back to, normal, doing what they doing, playing cards, playing, basketball, whatever. So maybe in a couple of hours, I think they made one more announcement, told everybody they better go back in. Wasn't nobody going nowhere. So now, after a little period of time, we see the wall open up. They got a little, you can go behind where like the vocation and the medical and all that type of stuff is. They had like a little, it was almost looked like a little fortress, and you had to go through there and get checked and this and that before you could actually go back there to where the program office was. Like I say, the canteen, the sergeant's office and stuff like that. They would check you and make sure that you didn't have any weapons on you or whatever. And so they opened that door, and a whole bunch of COs, in this type of like army looking fatigue, they come out there. You basically like the goon squad, a whole bunch of COs from other yards. Now, so now there's a little conversation going on. Everybody's starting to group back up again, the Hispanics, and we're up against a wall. Now, so they're talking now. They're telling the Hispanic dudes, listen, we're not going in. We finna stay down. And they telling us, okay, well, you guys don't run. We won't run. We'll stay right here. And like I say, now it's a large number of COs coming over there. Now, keep in mind also that this is the level 4. So we on a level 4, 180, which means that there is, you have gun towers on the yard, and in the gun tower, they have Mini 14 rifles. They definitely if they feel you pose any type of threat to one of them COs, they definitely gonna shoot you. Actually, back then they had a no warning shot policy. So in the event a fight or something like that would break out on the yard, and they felt that somebody's life was in danger, they definitely was gonna shoot. A lot of times, whoever they was shooting at or in that general area, somebody might get hit 30, 40 feet away, sitting at the table drinking coffee, not even involved in the incident. So they wasn't for play when it came to busting that gun, and a lot of cats knew that. And so eventually, just so happened, the guards made their way to the group of Hispanics before they got to the blacks. Now, of course, so now, everybody's saying, hey, look, we're going to stay down. We're going to stay down. So now when they're moving toward them, of course, now we keep in mind, like I say, they got the gun in the tower. So they're not trying to get too close and make any type of contact, because then, of course, anything could happen, and so, eventually, they started coming. The COs just ran over there. Everybody's moving, kind of like, not trying to make a whole lot of contact with them and stuff. And they're trying to hold their ground, but the COs just coming. And eventually, what happened is they just started screaming, get down, get down, get down. And so eventually, everybody on the yard proned out. They handcuffed. I think they might have handcuffed some of us, put us in them zip ties and this and that. But eventually, we was all let go back. We was all allowed to go back to the cell. We was all they gave us 115s, which is basically a disciplinary action. And so, that was the only time that during the whole 24 years that I was incarcerated, I've seen the Hispanics and the blacks try to come together and stand together as one. I don't know why that doesn't happen often, and a lot of people ask, because if you look at it at the end of the day, we're all convicts, we're all prisoners, but the racial politics, I guess, is so messed up that, a lot of times that for whatever reason, the two groups are just unwilling to try to, come together in unison, even when it's in support of something that may benefit the convict and the prison population. So, I don't know. But anyway, that's my little story on that. That's the only single time that I've seen that happen. Hope you like that little story. Be sure to hit that like button. It's your boy 16 to Life. You already know what it is. Resume normal program.